Hey y'all. Hey Crystal. And Monty, you missed the hang up the other night. You didn't miss all of it. You just came in late. This is going to be different from that night. Oh, by the way, this is going to be just a little different. How's everyone doing? Hi, Hannah. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Hey, Jessica. This is a big Saturday night. How's everyone doing? How's everyone's Saturday going? Hey, Shay. Hold on, y'all. I'm getting right. Trying to get right. Give me a second. This is always fun. Hey, Chris. Hey, Angela. Oh, you blazed. Okay. Chris. Hey, Kathleen. Chris, y'all know how Chris moves. Chris moves a little differently. Okay, so clearly, if you didn't realize, you are not on my other channel. You are on my comics channel. So I was gonna do a standalone, not a standalone. I was gonna do a sit down video where I essentially talked about um everything that I read in the month of January so far. But I thought it would be just kind of interesting to do it this way, like live show format, um, and go from there instead of sitting down and filming. Because I originally was going to sit down and film and put the video up yesterday, but I decided to go kind of a different route in doing it. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Whitney. I forgot that Neva was having all of those 24-hour sprints. I was exhausted last night. Still am exhausted today. So, I took a page out of Bethany's book. I know Bethany typically does, whenever she does her wrap ups live, she uses a slideshow, which I'm going to be doing the same thing just to do the wrap up portion of this. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through the slideshow and then I'll switch back and forth between the chat and slideshow. I'm also going to be looking down a little bit because I'm going to have my Goodreads opened up to make sure I stay on track about what I'm reading. I've read quite a bit so far. This month I think I'm up to 26 books this month, and a good portion of those have been graphic novels, comics, and manga. So I'm at least doing, one or two volumes of something a week, which is good. All right, so let me go ahead and see if I can get this situated, get this started. Actually, I don't think I have to. Let me see. And switch out of exit full screen. Well, that's not what I wanted. I want to do it that way. There we go. Okay. And switch this. Hi, it's okay if you're late. Okay. Your screen. Okay. Can everyone see that? Is that good? Can everyone see that pretty good? Yes, no, maybe so. See, no. That's definitely too small. Okay, I put myself as a miniature version of me at the bottom. Okay, so this is just my mid-month wrap up. Um, and it's not, I don't remember how many it is. It's probably like 11 slides. It's not a lot. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what um, I've read and what I'm currently reading. So I made a lot of this stuff in Canva. I decided to have a little bit of fun with it. No rhyme or reason. I just didn't want it to be like boring. So keeping with the comic theme that you'd buy this volume. Keeping with the comic and graphic novel theme. All right, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about is My Boyfriend is a Bear. Now, I shared this with I shared this with my patrons when I first read it, and I can't remember how I found this. I feel like I was browsing on Goodreads, and there's this guy that I follow. His name is Chad, and he reads like 1,000 comics and graphic novels every single year. Like he meets his goal every single year. Um, and he has some really great recommendations, some more obscure things that I'm not familiar with. And I saw that he had read this at some point and reviewed it. And there was another person on Goodreads that I follow that reads a lot of comics and graphic novels as well. And she had this as one that she had read and reviewed. It was on KU. So I decided to go ahead and pick it up, and it literally is exactly what you think. There is a main character by the name of Nora who has had a hard time really finding a partner. All of the people that she's dated have been complete trash, and she just hasn't had the best luck in dating. Well, then she ends up meeting a bear. And I told people, like, when I read this, like, this isn't a metaphor. This isn't like in place of anything. No, like, she's literally dating a bear. There somehow, I can't remember what the factor was that drew him towards her house, but he essentially was like digging in her trash can. She invites him into the house to get food, which why she invited a bear in her house to get food anyway, it just, I don't know. But she invited a bear to get food in her house. Um, and then they kind of spark a relationship. Now, he cannot communicate, but he does seem to be more advanced than your average bear. So she kind of figures out, like, when he makes certain, like, noises or grunts or groans, she kind of gets an idea of what it stands for or what it means. um, it's very strange. Um, I think I did get asked the question, like, do they have like sex on page? And they no, they don't. There's kind of like, I don't want to say like hinting, but kind of like a fade to black. Like you don't see them like kiss or anything, but it's kind of like insinuated that they it's kind of like they insinuated that they did have somewhat of a physical relationship. She does get backlash from her friends and her family who are like, "What the hell are you doing? You're dating a bear. Like, this is just not going to work. Clearly, this is not going to work." Um, I think one of the interesting points or the height of the conflict is when he has to hibernate. So essentially, she's kind of left by herself. But I will say that she stands strong to her commitment to Bear, even when he's absent, even when her family and friends want her to pretty much move on. Um, it was a quick read. I don't think it was even over 150 pages, and I think it was cozy and charming and cute, and it's not what you would expect going into this. I understand that it I had some thoughts and judgments about it before I read it, but I really ended up enjoying this one. It was a cute fun read. I wasn't severely opposed to what happened in this at all. Okay. Checking out some comments here. Yeah, Chad is a reader. He reads a lot and he has the most amazing recommendations when it comes to comics and graphic novels. It did kind of give King Kong vibes, but almost a little less problematic, I think. She listen, but it didn't start off like that. Like they weren't she it wasn't a romantic interest at that point. I think she was just trying to help out what she just thought was an animal that was in desperate need to get food. And so that's where that came from. How she got there. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, Kathleen, maybe that's where I was. It was completely unbelievable. Thanks, Monty. I had a good time. And that's all that matters. Even if y'all never picked this up, I had a good time reading it. Yes, but I never thought I'd leave it. I think I would leave a bear outside too. And they definitely have some, there's some barriers between their relationship. I think it was interesting that he actually does like have a job and he's clearly not your average bear, but he's still a bear, if that makes sense. Like there's a certain level of intelligence there that you would normally assume for a regular bear that you meet off the streets, but there still are barriers to their relationship. And then there's whatever this is. Yeah, it's good. I don't know. It's a good graphic novel. I enjoyed it. She is a ride or die girlfriend, and he appreciated that. It was a cute little ending to it, you know? I appreciated the the relationship dynamics. Working exactly. See, when you start thinking about it, if you've had some really rough relationships, like you kind of get where she's coming from with this one, even if it's a stretch. It's Yogi. You would think Yogi. Barriers. Stop it. I can't, Jennifer, I'm not going to even lie to you. I can't remember what he does. And I don't even remember if they say what exactly he does. But he wears clothes. Like he wears pants and he wears, shirt and tie. So um, she designs clothes for him, which I thought was really cute. So she tailors his clothes for him because she's really into design and stuff. And I think she gets kind of a joy and passion out of designing outfits for him, which kind of gives Build-A-Bear type vibes. But I mean, I just thought it was cute. It was cute. I thank you. Yeah, as a monster romance. Yes, if you like a monster romance, I this is it. Yes, Lauren. Bears and Bears is another good comparison too. Except they talk and he doesn't. He just kind of grunts, but they figure out. They figure it out. I don't know what the intention was with the cover, but he's I mean, he's in his natural skin. I'm not gonna be mad at that. Okay. The next one that I read is one that I really can't talk about, but this is one that I highly, highly, highly recommend. And it is Something is Wrong with Us. So I ended up reading two, three, four, five, 4 volumes of this so far this month. I plan on hopefully trying to catch up um, with the rest of the series by the time we get to the end of the month. I don't know if I can do it, but I am on volume 6 at this point. Literally, you're going to see volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the slide. But the only thing I can really tell you about any of them, because I can't get into any details, is that it is a dark romance that follows our 2 characters who are on the cover. Please don't ask me to remember names because it's not going to happen. And she grew up with a mother who made let me get the name of the sweets right now because I was about to tear that up and I doubt I don't want to tear up because there's a specific name for it. If someone remembers it before me, that would be great. It is a specific type of Japanese sweets, and it's really interesting because I went and I googled pictures of them, and the mangaka Natsumi Ando really does capture it very, very well. And I don't know why I cannot find. It's not on KU, unfortunately. To my knowledge, it's not on KU. I've luckily my library did have all of the volumes. Um and so I was able to check them out that way. But if I'm thinking right, I believe that Bree had to buy. She bought them digitally. Okay, Wagashi. That was the name I was like, why can't I remember the name of it? Okay, so her mother and her lived with his family, um, and she worked for their Wagashi company, and everything was going well until his father supposedly gets murdered, and they hold her mother accountable for his death. And so as she gets older and she attempts to get into the industry herself, she keeps getting fired because people, or I don't know, it's not really revealed just yet. So I don't know if it's one particular person or if it's a host of people who kept telling her employers that, hey, don't let this person work for you because her mother is a murderer. And so um she kept getting released from her job. So she is kind of at her wit's end when this mysterious guy pops up and he was like, your mother told me to give you this letter. So she has no idea who this guy is. And by the time I'm in volume 5, he's playing a pretty significant role in how things play out, but we still don't know everything that I think that there is to know. You get to know a little bit about who he is and what his relationship is to her mother and why he's popping up. So she assumes a different identity and she goes back to this Wagashi place. And um, it's interesting because he picks her. He doesn't remember her. He picks her. They were now keep in mind they're close growing up. He picks her to be his fiance so that he can take over the family business. But he does not remember that they were the two that grew up together, even though there's kind of some hints that she reminds him of this little girl that he once knew. And so when she gets to the house, you could see how like effed up the family dynamics are between everyone. So his grandfather no longer likes him because he thinks that he's actually illegitimate. He thinks that um, his mother had an affair and he's not really his biological grandson. And so there's issues there. But at the core of it is that she's lying about who she is, and the two of them are building this very interesting relationship where he's not the most likable character. He's not the most lovable character. And he has a lot of walls and barriers built up. And she's harboring this secret and she doesn't want to tell him because she's back in this place working where her mother has worked. She's dealing with this grief of not knowing if her mother really was responsible for what happened to his father. And so you have this really messy dynamic with murder and these two who used to be childhood friends, but someone's lying about their identity and they may be developing feelings for each other. And then his mother is off the chain. Okay. His mother does not think that anyone is good for her son. So when he brings her home, she's kind of like basically, who's this bitch? I mean, that's just how she functions. She does not like, and she's doing everything as you progress through the volumes, you see how screwed up she is as a person and how much she does not want um how much she doesn't want to allow the two of them to be together. And everybody is in a role or capacity where they can't be trusted. Everyone is pretty much screwed up. The romance dynamics between the two of them are pretty jacked up. And each volume ends on a cliffhanger that's just kind of like, you need to have the next volume in your hands. Like, this is not, when I think about like creep factor and like psychological thriller parts. This is not on the same level, I think, as um what's the name of the series? Blood on the Tracks. It's not on the same dynamic as that, but the drama, the messiness of it, and the dark aspects of their romantic relationship is really interesting. So Anyway, I did end up giving volume 2 4 stars. But after yeah, I've never had Turkish delight, I don't think. It's a lot, it's definitely a lot of drama, I will say that. Okay, so this next one that I ended up reading was Kim Reaper. This one is on KU. I have been trying to make sure that I'm getting my money's worth at a KU this year. So not only reading the romances that I typically get on KU, but also checking out whatever graphic novels and comics they have on KU. And they also have manga on KU. Grim Reaper was a huge disappointment for me. This is by Sarah Grayley. This one is out of the UK. It has, I believe, 2 volumes to it, but after reading this first one, I am okay with just not continuing or finishing the series. Ironically, Jennifer, I hated the art style of this. It just was, I think the eyes, it's very what's that Adult Swim. It's very much so Adult Swim vibes. Sim the Invader, if that's the name of the show. I can't remember if that's the actual name. It's not, I didn't enjoy the art style whatsoever in this one. But I do get how it can appeal. The story itself was not good. So we're following main characters Becca and Kim. They go to the same university. And from the beginning, when they're in class, Becca is the one that's on the left, and Kim is the character on the right. So Becca has a crush on Kim, like completely obsessed with her while they're sitting in class. And she decides that she wants to ask him out on a date. And so she follows Kim because before she gets a chance to ask her while they're in the class, Kim decides to walk out of the classroom. And she follows her. And when she's following behind her, Becca sees Kim walk through this portal. And when she walks through the portal, she keeps following her. They both get sucked. Well, Kim knows where she's going, but Becca gets sucked into Kim being portaled into another house. And then she finds out that Kim essentially works as a Grim Reaper. So she does it for extra money. And she's a human, which is usually not what this Grim Reaper community does, but they felt like she was good enough at the job that she could do it. So she is starting on a lower level. She's just doing Grim Reaping as it applies to animals. So that's what she was doing when she went to the house. I thought that the premise was interesting, but it just read bad. Like I just didn't like the flow of the story whatsoever. I think it could have been done better. And then the artwork wasn't my style. Even though I think I understood what the writer and artist, like what she was going for, it just didn't work for me at all. I think the art style, what I didn't care for with the art style is the disproportionate figures of the body. It just didn't seem, I don't know, it just was weird. All of it was weird. Just the art style was just very, very weird. Um, this was one that I actually came very close to DNFing. It took me a long time to read this one. For a graphic novel that's like 112 pages, it took me like 4 days to read this one. It just was not, it was awkward, it was clunky. I wasn't invested in the romance between the two characters. Like Becca goes from being hardcore into Kim, and then when she realizes that she's a Grim Reaper, she's like, "Oh, I'm done with you." And there were some elements that were thrown in that I thought were potentially interesting, but they just fell flat, and it felt like it was just all over the place. Like there were more ideas contained within this one volume than what was necessary for the story at hand. I haven't read a graphic novel like this in a while where I'm just like, what the hell did I just read? So as soon as I got to that point, I was like, yeah, I forget it. I'm not going to continue with it at all. So I don't know. But if you're interested, like I always say, like just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that you won't like it or enjoy it. It is available on KU. This is one that I had been attempting to read for forever. I had checked it out physically from the library, didn't get to it when I was supposed to get to it, and there were holds on it. And finally, I just put it on hold on Libby. So this is Magical Boy. Even though it looks like it is a manga, it is not a manga. It is a graphic novel, even though the artwork very sure pushes it. It just looks like it's a manga. Um, it is really, really great. I loved it. It talks heavily about transitioning, identity, queerness, friendship, and magic. It does have content warnings for dead naming, transphobia, unsupportive parents, and transitioning and religious bigotry. Where do I start with this one? So it follows the story of Max, who's a teenager, who is trans, and he wants to transition. He lives in a household that is his dad is more on the side of being supportive, but his mother is not at all. She constantly dead names him. And what I thought was interesting about the artwork is that even though the dead naming is occurring, what the creator does is blur it out. So you never know Max's dead name whatsoever, which I think was done with such care and passion. Even though we know that it's happening, it's not anything that is actually on page, which I had not seen that before, and I thought that that was a unique element to it. He has this interesting gift where he can see people's auras. So if you're like sitting at a table with Max, you have um a color that you give off, and his ability to see auras is connected to someone's ability to be open and kind and respectful to other people. So you get to learn a little bit about the different colors and you see it from his perspective, which I thought that that gift was really, really interesting. So one day he ends up seeing these like weird creatures that are sucking, like literally sucking the auras off of people. And he has no idea what that is or what's happening. So long story short, he finds out that his mother also had this gift and now he's inherited this gift and he's learning that it's his responsible to keep the monsters at bay. I felt like a good portion of this gave Sailor Moon vibes, which I dug it. Like that whole transitioning into, being a sailor. What is it? What is it? A sailor guardian? Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But the interesting element that the creator added to this one is that when Max begins to transition into this magical being, he often transitions into a dress. And so it causes him to completely like panic and freak out. He's like, why, if I'm supposed to be this guardian, or, he's supposed to be this goddess, and he's like, well, I don't really want to be a goddess. I don't want to wear this dress. I absolutely hate this. Eventually you start to see him become more comfortable in his identity as a man. And so you see that paralleling with his outfit changing throughout the course of the graphic novel. The paralleling between transitioning and identity and comfort, it was really, really great seeing that in terms of him switching to being this powerful being that's supposed to be protecting the world. Um, I loved Max as a character. I thought that he was really, really well rounded. I thought that the different aspects of what he was going through was well rounded. So we get to see him go through everyday struggles as being a teenager, but also wanting to like meet this expectation that his mother has set forth of being this amazing magical hero. But he's pushing back, saying that he's going to do it on his own terms and he wants his mom to acknowledge his identity, which I thought was really cool. It does end in a cliffhanger. It's fast paced. The plot is great. It's intriguing. I think it's close to 300 pages, but it reads like that. Like it reads very, 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 very quickly. I had one issue. The reason why I could not give this one 5 stars, because I was very, very close to giving this 5 stars. I couldn't give it 5 stars because the panel the text placements within the panels were horrible, which is why I always say that, like, text placement in a graphic novel or a comic, even a manga, is so important, more important than I think people realize. And this one did not do a good job of doing it. Um, it was placed so awkwardly sometimes that it was hard to figure out which order you were supposed to be reading the text in. And so sometimes I found myself reading pieces and parts of the text that didn't necessarily make complete sense. And it took me out of the story every time I had to do that. But if it wasn't for that, honestly, between the artwork and the storytelling, and just the unique conversations that were happening in context of the story, I would have given this one 5 stars. Um, it's a good start. I have volume 2 currently checked out. I'm hoping to get to that um by the end of the month. Yeah, yeah, it's good. I hope that more people do end up picking it up. It's definitely worth a read. Where oh, hey Bree. Not sure if it's on your cave, but the Swords of Glass is really interesting read. I'll have to check and see. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that title, but it doesn't mean that it's not on there. Happiness Cemetery Voice. Yeah, I really, really like that creative choice. Um, and blurring out the dead name, even though it was happening. That was a really, really great creative choice. To my knowledge, it is. I think it's only a 2 volume series. I have not seen any indication that it's going to be more than a 2 volume series. The second volume just released September of last year. So I could also be wrong in saying that. That I could be extremely wrong in saying that, but I'm pretty sure that it is complete at 2 volumes. All right. The next one we have is Something's Wrong with Us Volume 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and there's 4 stars. I've talked about the series. Can't say anything about that one. Um, Next one, Pixels of You. Hold on. Yeah, placement is extremely important. Yeah, it, and that's where I think that series is weaker, is that placement issue that it has. I'm hoping that that issue is not prevalent in volume 2, but there's always that chance that it will be. Okay, so Pixels of You was a it's a YA graphic novel that I had been seeing around, and I actually had selected this one for our collection at my library, and so I decided to check it out because I also purchased it on Libby, so I decided to check it out myself and give it a read. Um, this was a tough one too. Um, it wasn't horrible, but it also wasn't great. The premise of it is pretty unique, but I think that our creators didn't delve into it as much as they could have. Um, it's told from the perspective of this creator by the name of Indira, who's interning at a local gallery. And this, I should start off by saying that this graphic novel is not text heavy at all. It does have text, but the beginning of it definitely is focused on the panel work. Um, Basically, what ends up happening is while she's interning at this gallery, she meets this AI by the name of Fawn. Um, and the two of them don't get along, but the gallery owner, because they're both high school students and they're supposedly interning and doing work for credit, and they're either high school students or they're college students. They're college students. Got to be college students. Or they could be high school. I don't know. Um, they have to do a final assignment together because the gallery owner figures out that they're having this conflict with each other. And so she basically says, okay, well, the two of you are going to be working on an assignment together. And they end up pretty much forming this unlikely relationship or friendship between them. And you get to learn about the conflict, why there's conflict between the two of them. And it is directly related to the fact of to AI technology. Now, what I liked about this and what worked about this is the relationship between Fawn and Indira. I like that they didn't like each other, but by the time that they're forced to spend time with each other, they forego like any perceptions about the relationships between humans and AI technology. And they decide that they're going to build a relationship on their own, which I really appreciated. Indira is very hesitant on the relationship. She's more hesitant than Fawn is because as you get further into the graphic novel, you figure out why Indira has such a complex relationship with AI. It was something that happened in her past, and it really, really impacts her. And it's interesting because well, I'm not going to spoil that because I think that's a spoiler. But it's interesting how all of that works together. So Fawn was definitely more, I would say, more open to their relationship, and regardless of whatever complications may have existed, than Indira was. Um, I thought it was interesting that the creators decided to give a lot of human emotion to Fawn. Um, and I wasn't expecting that as a reader, getting to know Fawn as AI technology. And Indira, I think, wasn't expecting that either. Um, there is a hint of a sapphic romance towards the end of it, but it's never really explored. I enjoyed the artwork in this one. I think it's an art style that a lot of people are not going to enjoy because the artwork in it does feel slightly chaotic, and it's definitely working in darker and more muted hues than what people I think traditionally like. And it does feel a little chaotic in terms of art, but for some reason I think because of the story itself and how the storytelling was being conducted, I really did enjoy the artwork on that one. Um, it worked for the context of the story. Honestly, I think that that's where they got that right. Is that it just felt like it worked the way it was supposed to work. Um, the biggest flaw of this one and why I have such a complicated relationship with it and the complicated feelings about it is that it it does not have good world building. So readers are kind of thrown into this world, which is Earth, um, and you realize that there's this huge advancement of AI technology, which is fascinating considering all the conversations that are happening now around AI technology. But it's confusing to figure out what the hell actually has happened. Like you get these brief synopses throughout the graphic novel, but overall, like it's confusing as shit. Like I was like, this little synopsis is not giving me sufficient information to understand what is happening outside of the context of Indira's and Fawn's relationship. You know nothing about the world. Um, but what's unfortunate about that, it's clear that what's happening in the world has severely impacted both Fawn and Indira. So to not have world building with a world that has severely impacted your main characters didn't make sense. So, we do get to know a little bit about what Indira's complicated relationship with AI technology is, but I feel like there could have been more. And like, how did this version of Earth get to this point? And then Fawn has a very unique kind of story with how she came to be, which we get a brief glimpse of, but not in enough detail to give it much substance. Um, So as a reader, when you're reading this, you kind of feel like you're left in the dark, and it makes the story feel extremely incomplete. And it's disappointing because I think that this had more potential if they would have done more world building in the background and given readers more insight to what the hell got Earth from point A to point B. I think it would have worked out. It would have worked out so much better. It was a solid read, but not what I was hoping for when I picked it up. Definitely not what I was expecting. All right. So, if you didn't know, I'm also reading One Piece this year. I am trying to make it through all 100 volumes of One Piece. I'm already behind because I'm supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. I think 10 volumes finished this month, and I am only on volume 2, which I can finish 10 volumes by the end of the month, but still, It's supposed to be 2 volumes a week, and I'm not fulfilling my duties on doing that. But I understand the fascination with One Piece. I get it. I've been meaning to read One Piece for forever. And I understand why people fucking love it so much. Okay. Like, and this is just volume one. So I can only imagine how massive this story gets when it's all said and done. But it's crazy. It's great. Um, so if you didn't know, like I said, One Piece is 100 volumes. It is one of the longest translated mangas out there for us to pick up. It follows a character by the name of Luffy, and when he's young, he accidentally eats the demon gum gum fruit, which gives him these interesting powers where he stretches, but he's forever not able to swim. Like he can't swim because of how his body stretches, which is unfortunate because when he's a kid, when you get this introduction to him as a kid, he wants nothing more than to be a pirate. That's his like one aim, his one goal. He's like, I'm gonna be a fucking pirate. And he wants to obtain the highly coveted One Piece. Um, in this first volume, you meet all of these different characters that are fascinating, amazing. Toby, Zorro, I know that the cast is going to just get bigger, but just meeting these characters in the first volume and learning more about them and learning how they're going to play a role in Luffy's journey into becoming king of the pirates and obtaining One Piece. And I get it. I get it. It's kind of interesting because I was like, okay, what if I read this first volume and I'm like, damn, like what is all of the what is all the hype for in the series? I get the hype with this one. I genuinely I get the hype. It it holds up. It definitely delivers. And I can say that I'm definitely hooked. I think that not much happens in this first volume. It's definitely setting the scene for where we're going to go. There's a lot of world building, which I appreciate. I think I'm learning this is that if I'm going to get immersed in a story, especially if it's a series, I want to know everything there is to know about this world. And you can tell in this one that we are going to get all the world building. Um, I think there's potential for some of the characters that we meet in this first volume to play bigger roles, especially Toby. Toby, I think, is going to come full circle. I just have this gut feeling that we're not gonna not see Toby again, who wanted to be part of the Navy, which is in complete opposition to pirates, which is interesting because Luffy um, wants to be a pirate, and Toby wants to be a part of the Navy, and so they're on opposing sides, but they have this cute, unique friendship that happens just that quick in volume one. I was like, wow, I loved your dynamic. I love the ending scene when they go in their separate ways. It was beautiful. Like, I was like, the storytelling in this one is fucking fantastic. It is great. Oh gosh, y'all. It's dense. There's a lot of text, but it was good. I have not genuinely been this excited to continue with the series since I started Food Wars and Nana. And y'all know how much I fangirl over those two. And I have not been so excited since starting those two series. So I'm looking forward to what 2022 is going to bring me in terms of One Piece. I mean, 2023. Look at me, still stuck in 2022. I'm looking forward to what 2023 is going to bring me in terms of One Piece this year. And when we sprint tonight, I probably will be picking up volume two of One Piece at some point. All right. Yeah, One Piece. One Piece is good. It is. I listen. I was hesitant too, but Chris and I were talking about it in Discord, and we were like, we were going to read it because Chris told me that she had checked out volumes from her library, and I was like, oh, look, well, I want to read One Piece going into next year, and 2 volumes a week. If I would get my life together, 2 volumes a week is really doable, honestly. Um, but it's so good. You're further along than me, Jennifer. Yeah, 100 volumes. Well, it's over 100 volumes now. But I think I don't know if volume 101 has released in English yet. I haven't. It probably has, or I mean, I haven't checked. It is. It's funny. It's charming. It's oh gosh, it's a patient word. That's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. It's a whole lot. But mm. I feel like if you and Luffy met in person, Chris, like y'all would get along. Come join it. Join the bandwagon. Yeah, so my library does have all 100 translated volumes. Um, so there's that. And any volumes that they don't have, I do also have the Shonen Jump app or the Viz Media app. Or do I have the Shonen Jump app? I don't want to tell you wrong. Hmm, where is it? Yeah, I have the Shonen Jump app, which One Piece is on there. Um, I am not buying. I'm not buying any of these. I just don't have the shelf space to do it. To be honest with you, um, and I do not have the money to buy 100 volumes of manga. So I'm gonna check out what my library has, and then whatever they don't have, I will read on the Shonen Jump app to fill in. And if you go to even Wikipedia has like if you are curious about it, the Shonen Jump app is $1.99 a month, which isn't bad because you can read 100 chapters of manga a day, and they have the most popular shonen series that are on the market right now. um, if you just go to Wikipedia, you can look at how many chapters are in a volume, and then that's how you can keep up with which volumes you've read if you're just reading chapter after chapter after chapter, which um, is convenient. I did that with a couple of series that I read last year that I got through the Shonen Jump app. Pick it back up. Y'all would be best friends. Yeah, it's listen, it's popular enough that I know a lot of libraries that do buy manga, they try to keep up with it, but it's also one of those series where, like, I think the manga, people get the manga and then they just don't return it. So my library recently just had to repurchase like volumes 2, 3, and 4 because they were in still out status because somebody didn't return them. Jessica, I think you would find it interesting. Like, I don't know if you have the Shonen Jump app, but you can read it on your Kindle if you wanted to, or on your e-reader if you wanted to, because I know you e-read, man, or you could get the digital. I don't know if you wanted to get the digital copies, but the Shonen, really honestly, instead of paying for the digital copies of it, the Shonen Jump app would work out in your favor. It'd be cheaper to do it that way than paying for the digital copies of it, because every volume digitally is like you're running $7, $8 when you can $1.99 a month. You could be reading. You could you could finish a lot more than what you would pay for each volume individually. It's a really good deal. Okay. Um, Something's wrong with us again. This is volume 4. Can't say anything about this one because it's volume 4 of the series. But let me tell y'all something. I will tell you this. Shit got great. This got good. Okay. Volume 4 ended on a cliffhanger where I was pretty much like, yo, like what in the world? I mean, I guess I could have seen it coming, but I didn't think that Natsumi Ando would go in that direction, and she went in that direction. And so there's that. So 5 stars for volume 4. And then I think I read, yeah, okay. I thought I read volume 5 after that, but not quite. All right. So this is a middle grade graphic novel that I ended up reading, which is the Cobalt Prince. This is a extremely popular middle grade graphic novel series. The series is actually called Five Worlds, but this is the second volume, The Cobalt Prince. There's not really much that I can say about this one. I had been putting it off for a while, and I'm not sure, but I had not read the first volume since early last year, and then I just kind of fell off. But I kind of look, you want to just finish the series this year because it's 5 volumes, which is not bad. I've been reading them digitally from my library. It literally picks up exactly where the first one left off, which is why I can't really say much. But The premise of this entire series is that we have these five worlds that are kind of sort of in conflict. There's this darkness that's existing that's kind of taking over worlds and making living in certain parts very miserable. So you have these sand warriors who are responsible for practicing this certain art dealing with sand, and there is a person who is supposed to have this special ability to light these beacons around the five worlds that is supposed to stop this darkness from being able to exist. So the main character in this, Una Lee, her sister had the ability, the I feel like it's called a living fire. She is she's able to light the beacons, but she gets caught up with this other group that prevents her from lighting the beacons, and she essentially abandons her little sister. And so Una Lee is not she struggles with that a lot in the first one, and she's still struggling with what happens in the first one and when the two of them um kind of connect in this second one. There's this whole familial dynamic in this that I found really, really intriguing. Um, what I did like, 'cause that's pretty much all I can tell you without really spoiling it, is that I really liked that we got more character development in this one. There's a certain level of intricacy that exists with the world building in this one that I think younger readers find very, very fascinating. I found it fascinating as an adult reading this, just learning about the different worlds, how they're all interconnected, and what this darkness is, and how it impacts everyone, and what they can do to work together in order to defeat this darkness. Um, I think this volume in particular was extremely emotional. I was not expecting how emotional this volume really, really was. I think sometimes I step into middle grade, which is very naive of me considering it's a age category that I deal with all the time. I think sometimes I'm naive to how emotional it can be and how hard it can be to read sometimes, especially when certain things um impact the characters. I think my heart broke a lot for Una Lee in this volume in particular because she loses a lot and she finds out some things about like how she's been living her life, and her life is essentially a complete lie. And that really hurt my feelings to know that people thought that they had her best interests at hand, but really like it felt like they were kind of like screwing her over a little bit. Um and she wasn't able to be her authentic self because of the lies that people told. So my heart really broke for that. The storytelling is good. I currently do have the third one on hold. I'm waiting for it. The artwork in these, y'all, holy shit. Like the artwork is just beautiful. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. Every single page, every single panel, the sketching, the inking, like the layout, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Um, it's engaging. I think it's just full of life. It's robust. It's some of the best artwork that I have seen in a middle grade graphic novel, especially when we're thinking about it in terms like it's a fantasy middle grade graphic novel. And oh, it's beautiful. If you're looking for more middle grade graphic novels to check out, I definitely recommend the Five World series. It's great. It's great. I love it. I love it. You do. It's great. Oh, I can't wait for you to read it. I wish more people would read it. It's really good. Hey, Tia. Ugh, all the way to the end of the series. Dang. This one really had me, this one had me in my feelings big time. Toward especially at the end of this one, I was like, oh my gosh, like I wasn't expecting it to be that sad. Artwork is beautiful. Yeah, it is. It's a great series. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And the last one that I ended up reading this month was Something's Wrong with Us, Volume 5. Another, this was another great volume. Um, I like, listen, I I don't even know. There's nothing I can say about it, to be honest with you. But these cliffhangers are not for the faint of heart. And I think that's why it reminds me so much of reading Blood on the Tracks, where you're like, you need to have the next volume with you when you're reading it. It's the same with like you need to have volumes stacked up before you dive into the series. I think you're okay after you read volume one, but when you start getting into these later volumes, it's like you're gonna want them. You're gonna want to be able to pick them up and pick them up very, very quickly. So that was another 5-star volume for me. Like it was great. It was great and interesting, and I can't wait to dive in. All right. And the last slide that I have here is what I'm currently reading. So I'm currently reading quite a few things. Some of these are not even marked on Goodreads as currently reading yet, but I still am in the middle of Drama by Raina Telgemeier. I think that Drama may be, and I'm not including her Babysitter's Club's adaptations because that's a whole beast of its own. I shouldn't be frozen. If I'm frozen, somebody let me know. I'm gonna pause because I'm still connected to the internet. Ah! Somebody tell me if you can hear me. Or I can just fucking look at myself, right? Okay. Can y'all tell me the last thing that you heard? I'm back on. Tell me the last thing you heard, because I was still talking that whole entire time. All good. Okay. You're good, Ashley. Okay, you're good. Not frozen. All right. Did y'all did y'all hear anything that I was saying? Oh, I was talking about drama. Okay, cool. All right. So, I I think drama is, hold on, because I want to make sure I get this right. I can't remember if drama is, can you tell me the last thing I heard? Is the last thing I heard. Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm good. All right. So some people got me, some people didn't. All right. So drama is the second, what I was talking about was drama, is the second to, is it, is it the second to last thing? I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, drama is. So after drama, I only have one more thing that I need to read by Raina Telgemeier before I complete what she's written outside of her Babysitter's Club adaptations. Um, I think I'm pretty sure that's all I have left by her. That's her main stuff. She's done some web comics, and I think she did X-Men Misfit, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not even interested in reading that. But I think she may have done the first four of the Babysitter's Club. I may or may not. I'm still on the fence about getting to that whole series. Um, but I am reading drama. I'm not that far in, probably like 15 pages. Um, but it's Raina Telgemeier. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna love it. I'm also currently reading Magical Boy Volume 2, which, of course, I talked about Magical Boy Volume 1, which I absolutely adored. Hopefully the panel work in this one is a little bit better than the first one, but I don't know. I think that the creator could have um, gotten some feedback I um, since I read the first one, hopefully, because there was a time jump between, or a gap between the publication of the first one and the second one. So hopefully the panel work is a little bit better. Either way, the storytelling in that one is really good. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with that. I'm also reading Unfamiliar, which is another YA graphic novel. Um, it's by Haley Newsome. I'm not far into it. It's not long. It's 160 pages. It just came out December of last year. Definitely spooky vibes. The witch who is um who is moving to a new house, and that new house is potentially haunted. That's what that is. I was like, what happened? Because I haven't read a lot of it, so I don't really know much about it. This one also started off as a web comic, if I'm not mistaken. So the artwork in this one is intriguing. Not my favorite, but you know, seeing what the story is like. I'm supposed to be reading along with the Yona read along that is happening through Marg, Shay, and Izzy. They should be on volume, let me think, one, two, three. They should be jumping into volume 4 this week. This upcoming week on Monday, starting the 23rd, it should be on volume 4. I still have not picked up volume 1. And I'm going to have to purchase volume 2 digitally because my library does not have volume 2. Volume 2 is very, very difficult to get your hands on right now. One of those awkward out of print things going on with Yona. But I will be reading the rest of the series from my library. Of course, One Piece Volume 2 is up there because I need to get through 10 volumes by the end of this month. So that is not necessarily a lot of time considering the amount of days that we have left in this week or in this month. But I do want to make a significant chunk. That way, anything that I don't get to is not too much of a heavy load for the month of February. I am also reading what is Donuts in a Crescent Moon? Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. I was like, Donuts in a Crescent Moon. This is all right. Also reading Donuts Under a Crescent Moon, volume number 3. I am very far into Donuts Under a Crescent Moon, so that one I probably will finish tonight at some point. But yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. I have not stuck to my 5 by 5 by 5. Some of the stuff I've read from my 5 by 5 by 5, but I have been heavily digging into the Something's Wrong with Us series this month. I saw how many volumes the library has, and I was like, oh, I just want to just go ahead and just catch up really, really quickly since I don't plan on buying it. But I need to transition back over to getting my volume of Nana, my volume of Food Wars read, as well as a couple of comics that I've been meaning to read, including Wonder Woman. I think I had a Aqualad comic that I wanted to read, and so there's that. But yeah, that's it so far for this month. Donuts book. I read it. It's good. I really like it. It's a good Yuri title. I really, Steph, I'm enjoying One Piece. I really, really enjoyed the first volume of it. It was fun. The world building in it is exceptional. Um, just if you're gonna pick it up, just know you're in for a long haul because of how long the series is, you know. Unfamiliar on it. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's not long, so I can knock it out really quick, but I have to see how I feel. Because me and the artwork are not vibing so far, which is, it happens. But sometimes even when I don't vibe with the artwork, sometimes the storytelling is still pretty good. Tried. Oh, yeah, I forgot you DNF, Fiona. Oh, how many volumes of each do you have checked out, Chris? I know you told me, but I can't remember. Oh, no, no, no. It's fine. It's fine. Um, my favorite read so far? Um, Honestly, volumes 4 and 5 of Something's Wrong with Us has been the epitome of top tier. But it's wild because I gave One Piece a lower rating than those two. Um, but I also feel like they're kind of neck and neck. Like, but I'm further into the story of Something's Wrong with Us than I am in One Piece. So we'll see. But so I'll stick with saying Something's Wrong with Us. Volume 4 and 5 have definitely been um my tops for the month. How do you like it? It hasn't been mm-mm. Nothing. It may not come back. Don't cancel your hold though. Don't cancel your hold. I think when people see that things like don't come back, don't cancel your hold because some libraries, and I don't know how everybody does it, but I know what we do is if you're still on hold for something that goes out, um, it goes missing or like somebody doesn't return it in a X amount of time, we will repurchase it because it's customer demand for it. So don't cancel your hold. Graphical Wonder Woman are great. Okay. Yeah, the one that I'm looking at is Becky Cloonan's run on Wonder Woman post um what is this? It's the Infinite Frontier stuff, but it goodness gracious. What am I thinking about? Not Infinite Frontier, but damn, Future State. Post Future State. Damn, I'm bugging. I'm bugging completely. But that's the one that I'm reading right now. This is One Piece for jeez. I do need to read Tokyo Ghoul too, though, on a high because I have the whole box set of Tokyo Ghoul and mm, yeah, a lot of people do. They legit have issues. Yeah, but if you like the messiness and the drama of it all, it's good. It is. Food Wars is on Shonen Jump. If you ever like something's wrong with this, yeah, it's good. I'm on volume 6 now. Oh, I didn't know it was US only. Dang. I didn't know that. That sucks. Did not realize that it was a US only app. Okay, y'all. So that is it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Um, thank you um for listening to me talk about what I've read so far this month for the past hour. It's greatly appreciated. Um, yeah, I would definitely see Chris about um definitely see about uh reading it before you buy that box set. If y'all are up to it, we can do one 45-minute sprint. Um and you can pick up whatever comic, graphic novel, or manga that you're currently reading because I did say that um there were sprints attached to this, so I don't want to like log off and not at least do one sprint. So we can do one 45-minute sprint. If you're staying for the sprint, let me know what you're currently reading. I think that I think I'm just gonna go ahead and finish volume 3 of Donuts Under Crescent Moon because I'm so close to finishing that one. And then um I may go ahead and start One Piece volume 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a timer. I also at some point when we get finished with this sprint, I have to film my weekly reading log for tomorrow. So talk about everything I've read over the past freaking 2 weeks, which has been a lot. Some good stuff, some not so good stuff. I think in this past 2 weeks, I've read some of my least favorite things of the year, which that stinks because I think that first week I was kind of like on a high of um, everything was stars. But then as I got into these 2 weeks right here, it has not been as high. That high. My bubble quickly got bursted. It got busted really, really quick. Okay, Clementine. Okay. And you're reading Black One Piece Volume 8. Dang, Hannah, you're so good night. Pick up One Piece. Yes, you do. Oh, really? I still have Photon up there somewhere. maybe it's up higher, but I'm excited to read it as well. Okay, so everybody's reading Radiant Black. The live show, by the way, is not going to be until February 1st. I need to go ahead and that's what I'll do before I start reading. I'll go ahead and I'll make the StreamYard stuff for that. Lore Olympus Volume 2, Spencer Volume 3, okay. Okay. Monstrous Volume 2. I need to go back and read Monstrous. I haven't read Monstrous in a long time. And I have Monstrous Volumes 1 and 2, I think. Yeah, I do. Okay. Volumes 1 and 2. It's been years since I've read them. Cough, cough, spare. It was, I'll tell you, and then start the sprint. I can tell you exactly what ruined it for me. Spare wasn't a good read. The Black Queen was not a good read. It was horrible. And I mean, it hasn't even come out yet. That doesn't even come out until the end of the month. And one that I thought was going to be, it wasn't bad. It was steady. It was a solid book, but it wasn't as strong as their previous work. And that was Friday, I'm in Love by Karen Garrett, which I really loved off the record when I read it in 2021. But I read Friday, I'm in Love, and it wasn't as strong as off the record. And I also haven't read their first book, which is full disclosure. I haven't read that one yet, but it wasn't as strong. So I'm kind of getting with, and I read a picture book too that I thought I was going to love, and it ended up being a 3.5, which is My Red, White, and Blue by Alana Tyson. So I'm kind of hitting now. I'm getting into the range of not enjoying every single thing that I'm picking up, which sucks. Oh, I also read this erotic historical romance that almost was a 4-star, and I was disappointed because it was an element that changed it from being a 4-star read for me, and it kind of pissed me off. But it was good storytelling, except that one thing that she did, and I was like, damn, like this would have been 4-star read, but you made this one mistake, and it dropped it for me. Still want to read the rest of the series. So, needless to say, these past 2 weeks, I've been digging more into books that are not. They're not making it happen for me. They're not making it happen at all. Yeah, my boss actually DNF'd it too. She said she got to part 2 and she was like, "I'm done." She DNF'd it. She didn't finish. She was like, "It's not even. I can't. I refuse." So, I think a lot of people by the time they get to that second section, they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I'd rather not." Picking up I Hate Fairyland. Did you know that there's a spinoff to I Hate Fairyland? There's a spinoff currently releasing in single issues to I Hate Fairyland. Scotty Young just made my heart sing when I found that out. Real Accounts is very interesting. Please let me know what you think. Sweat and Soap is cute. Radiant Black Volume 3. Okay. Looking forward to Black Queen. Yeah, I didn't like it. Yeah, Aaron, I didn't like it at all. It was a 2-star read for me. And that was me being generous, I think, to be honest with you. Yeah. Real Account is, I think I got up to volume 2 last year for Real Account. And it's on KU. It was always fun. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. 45-minute timer. Let's go ahead and do this sprint. Now I have this song, Friday, I'm in Love, stuck in my head. Damn. Sucks. Okay. All right, y'all. Happy sprinting. How did everyone do? I I got to chapter 11 of One Piece Volume 2. It's funny. It's funny. This clown is a trip. This clown pirate, um, Buggy. He's a mess and a half. But this is good. I'm gonna like making my way through the series. It's wild that so many of these came out in like the late 90s, but they still hold up. It's I'm I'm gonna enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy finishing that. Um, I did finish Donuts Under Crescent Moon Volume 3. This was good. This is I'm nervous about this because this was really good. I'm getting vibes that we are dealing with characters who may possibly be asexual. It's not said, but I'm getting those vibes. And I'm also wondering if we have a character that's neurodivergent. It's great. It's really, really charming and cute. And we have these two women who are trying to figure out what love means. And it I'm just nervous because I think there's so much that happened in this third volume. And the fourth volume that comes out next month is the conclusion to the series. And it makes me a little nervous because I'm like, it's either not going to be what I want it to be or it's going to feel rushed. So I did get to read these two this evening, which is nice. I did make the schedule the live show for Radiant Black, which will be on February 1st at 8:30 EST on this channel. Let's see what y'all did, what you went to sleep. So challenge over made a drink. I hate fucking yeah, Buggy's like I guess it's interesting because Buggy also ate the gum gum fruit. So now I'm like interested to see how this is gonna pick up because I'm at the part where Zolo finds Luffy at Buggy's wherever Buggy is. And this new character that we met at the volume of volume 1, Nami, she's really interesting. She's a trip and a half. Like Luffy was pissing her off and Luffy did not care. Halfway through volume. Okay, Radiant Black. Oh, but you finish your other books, so that's good. Yeah, it's funny. It's laugh out loud funny. Um okay, I read the first two chapters of Radiant Black Volume 1, which I'm glad I saw that you said that you were liking it. I'm glad that you liked it. So then I really like to just put the next couple volumes on the library. No, it's definitely I think um if you like Real Account, Kathleen, you will probably like Alice in Borderland. Alice in Borderland is I feel like Alice in Borderland is better than Real Account, but they both have similar vibes. Um, and the live action of Alice in Borderland is really good as well. Like, I really liked it. It's great. Oh, Zolo is Zorro. It's a translation error. Is it? Do they call him Zorro sometimes and not Zolo? Because it's Zolo everywhere. It's Luffy, not La. Okay, so Luffy. Beastars. Oh, Beastars is really good though. He's a worse and yeah, he is. He's a worse and the best at at the same time. This is it. I've seen that around. Real Account is wild. But yeah, if you enjoy Real Account, definitely check out all of Alice in Borderland. He's Zoro in the anime. I think Ro and Lo are written the same, if I remember. Yeah, because like even on this printing of it, it says the infamous pirate hunter Roronoa Zolo. Because I feel like I called him Zoro earlier because I thought that was his name, but when I was reading it just now, it just keeps saying Zolo. That's interesting. Space them out because I think you may feel like they're too similar to each other if you don't. So I would wait a little while before reading. Well, I don't know because I read them close together and it didn't impact my rating of either, but that's me personally. You may find them to be too similar, but I felt like Alice in Borderland is a lot darker and tackles heavier themes. I think Real Account is dark, but it still has kind of like a kind of, I don't know, a lighter tone to it than Alice in Borderland is just dark as shit. Really dark. Hey Ray. I know a couple people who are like that. I know librarians who are like that don't like animals with they don't like any book that's animal led. So like reading like The Warriors or Wings of Fire is because everything is told from the animal perspective. They're like, they can't do it. They don't like it. So I get that. I know a couple people are like, don't do that. Yeah, and do Alice in Borderland in a few minutes. All right, y'all. That is it for me tonight. Thank you for joining me for my mid-month wrap up. And doing that sprint with me. Got some stuff done, but I do need to go because I have to film this video for tomorrow. That's the only thing about doing these weekly wrap-ups is that I filmed the video the day before because it's a true ending of the week, which makes it interesting. And I have a lot to wrap up because I skipped last week because I was out of town. So yeah, Alice in Borderland is both the live action on Netflix and the manga are really, really good. I I need to continue with Alice in Borderland. I don't have the funds to purchase them right now. So what I'm gonna do is while I'm still on here, while I'm still thinking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on hold. Because let's see if there's a that's okay, because I don't need to read it right now anyway. There's a wait for volume 2, which is fine. Not a big deal. Okay. Yeah, not a big deal. I can wait and be patient for it. Oh yeah, you missed it, Ray. I'm sorry, love. Started 2 hours ago and I got to go. I got to run. Thanks, Bree. Love you. I do, Steph. I link it in my video. I haven't updated it in a long time. It's just kind of one of those things where it is. Or what's on it is what's on it. Like, so I haven't updated it in a hot minute, to be honest with you. Not a hot minute. Hot minute's a stretch, but I haven't updated it in a while. Okay, that's it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back with some more content on this channel sometime soon. Happy reading. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see some of y'all in Discord. Deuces. Good night.